Alright, so one day, way back, we were having a very heated and intelligent discussion about Naruto. And my dude over here, Dontay, recent graduate, political science major, decided, why haven't there been any political conversations about anime in general, but Naruto specifically?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to talk more about yourself and
for sure.
why you feel this way, you can.
So like I said, Dontay, follow me on IG.
Plug.
Self-plug. We're both XIV, WIMBO, XIV. So like I said, Naruto, because I was actually explaining Naruto to a friend that doesn't really watch Naruto or anime, but it's also very political.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of was explaining the backstory around Naruto when you think about the creation of the village and ultimately the conflict between the two clans, the Shinju clan and it's the Uzumaki, the Shinju and the Uchiha essentially.
Yeah.
So the main conflict between those two, and I'm kind of talking about the mythology behind it. And it's I was really thinking about, wow, I can connect this to situations that have already happened in terms of history. I do understand the creation of nation states in terms of Europe and Western Europe, and how I assume that the warring states period is very similar in terms of Japan, and that you had clans that were going to war, and then after those clans you kind of had the notion of a nation and a nation state, and so how the nation state and the clan and how people's loyalty kind of comes about in these constructed identities. So I feel we can go a lot into Naruto and how,
of course,
that relates.
For Dontay today, I prepared a couple questions. I'm just gonna have a short little dialogue about it, just so we can have it. I haven't seen anyone else do it, so we'll be the first ones probably to have it. So first question is something like, which village would you claim, would you rep, and why?
You gotta go with the black people. So I'm gonna go with the Land of Lightning, the village hidden in the clouds.
Yeah.
The cloud ninja, Dory, Killer Bee. This man literally raps.
Yeah.
That's his whole thing. He literally raps. This is clearly black people.
And he washed Sasuke too.
Bro, he beat the shit out of Hokage literally ripped his whole arm off after he getting hit with the Matarasu.
Yeah.
Literally the infinite flames. Just go ahead and rip that shit off. Fuck it, I don't need an arm.
What about any clans?
Clans?
Trying to use Maki.
Honestly, bro, I literally would just be Uchiha just so I can get the Sharingan. I feel the Byakugan is cool, but it's the Sharingan. You can't activate the Tsukuyomi with.
That's true.
You get the Tsukuyomi, you get the fucking Amaterasu. So the Mangekyo, Susanoo, the Mangekyo Sharingan is fire as fuck, but the internal Mangekyo Sharingan is just bro.
Yeah.
You low key unstoppable.
Is there anyone you feel would make a better Hokage than Naruto? So Naruto, he makes it all the way to the end. He fights everybody. Mm-hmm. This is my ninja way. Believe it. Mm-hmm. And he's not a bad person by any means. Mm-hmm. And he's doing the best he can now. Mm-hmm. But if there's anybody that you feel
would have made
a better Hokage, leadership wise. Because right now, Boruto, it seems like he's just doing paperwork, but he also is making sure the village runs well and stuff. And now it's super modernizing. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's anybody that could be
good
Hokage overall?
And this is the thing about the Hokage. So you kind of see it in the show is that the bureaucratization of just leadership in general, and how about you create these institutions, and all these institutions are supposed to be self-perpetuating. But bureaucracy is one of the ways in which you do that. So you have the ministers, you have different departments. And so ultimately Naruto's job, or the job of most Hokages, you see all the time, it's just stamping paper. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole thing, you know what I'm saying? So sort of the bureaucratization of it. And what even in the notion of this is the most powerful ninja. And he's relegated to filling out paperwork. I mean, even in what it symbolizes, it's supposed to symbolize the leader of the nation. Mm-hmm. I don't think that would be a better Hokage than Naruto. I think that because Naruto has had a lot of experience, Naruto's at the bottom of the social ladder in terms of class, in terms of just he didn't have no powers. Right. He really couldn't hook like that. You know what I'm saying? He didn't really have no skills.
Took him a minute to get the clone juice.
You know what I'm saying? So even in that, Naruto was at the bottom from the start, and I feel that gives you a lot of different perspectives in terms of being in that leadership position.
Absolutely.
Whereas a lot of leaders, especially leaders in countries, they come from the elite. They come form like a certain set of norms and principles and ideas about how people ought to be. That's oftentimes in conflict with what the rest of us are learning. Whereas elite learn all throughout the time they're growing up, they learn about how to like multiply their money and how to like ensure that there's wealth sustained, while a lot of us at the bottom are just kind of
they can like save for college.
Yeah, they literally can pay for college.
They can pay for like school. Like,
we gotta go to debt to just be able to just try to get, you know what I'm saying,
just school tuition?
Then just school tuition?
That's actually a good question.
I mean,
do they pay for that?
I think
they
like
government mandated.
Like somebody that was at the lowest like total pole in terms of like social class and being able to like, you know what I'm saying, rise through the ranks and build relationships and to understand that relationships are something that can sustain us as like people in order to ensure we have a brighter future. So I don't think anybody else but Naruto would make a good Hokage. Well, maybe not. I think Naruto would be the best Hokage.
Best choice. Okay, that's a good.
Because when you look at Sasuke, even though like Sasuke lost all his family, like he was still a part of a prestigious clan. You know what I'm saying? Even though he low-key lived in the shadow of his older brother, he was still the best ninja in the academy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Even as a young boy, before he lost his family, Sasuke was the best ninja in the academy.
So speaking of Uchiha, your boy, let's talk about Itachi.
Man!
How do you think about him, man? He's got a lot of opinions about Itachi, like very, very, very strong opinions about Itachi. Like,
dog,
just expound on that.
I used to love Itachi. Like, Itachi was one of my favorite characters, even before like the big reveal in terms of Shippuden, about like how he was low-key working with the villain the whole time. But it's just like, bruh, this man's a bootlicker. So if you say, okay, well, it's the Uchiha specifically, is it all the Uchiha, or is it just Sasuke's dad and a couple of other Uchiha who were like plotting the coup that was supposed to take place? You know what I'm saying? Was it every last Uchiha, or was it like a faction of the Uchihas who were just really, really radical? And if that was the case, if you're gonna engage in targeted assassinations, why not just assassinate like the people who are behind the plot? Instead, you're gonna go for like the whole mass genocide of the Uchiha to ensure that they will never be a problem again. Being an Uchiha is like, okay, well, we know this kid's an Uchiha. Let's try to make sure that we can kind of like, you know what I'm saying, cultivate him under our wing, so he'll show more loyalty to the village and not necessarily to his clan, which is ultimately what the whole basis of the conflict between the Uchiha and the Shinju was kind of the basis of. Especially with Tobirama, is they're like, yo, we trying to create this village, we trying to create this nation, and you're showing more loyalty to your clan, your individual clan, than you are to the nation as a whole. And so like that's where the conflict arises. But a lot of times it's because they were literally isolated.
Right.
They were given the control of the police force and they couldn't run for like magistrates. I think Wiki, not Naruto Wiki, that's where I get a lot of this information. It's like they couldn't run for office.
Oh wow.
They couldn't, because they were in charge of the police. So the police are supposed to be separate from like the country. So like, it's kind of like the security forces. Whereas like if you're in the military, if you're in the government, it's like they don't want you to run for civilian offices. So you can't necessarily hold political power. There's very little political representation. Give them the illusion of power, while in the same vein, it's like nobody fucks with the police. Like, we don't fuck with the police. So it's like, well, yeah, just make them the police, make them the security force. But in the same vein, it's like, okay, you made them the police, and now you're scared that they may like participate in the coup.
Yeah.
So it's like, ultimately, it's like, what was accomplished with that?
Yeah.
And he was just a weapon that was levied against the Uchiha.
He was basically like a Cherokee without
the power
of
cities, bro.
Wow. So last question that we got here. So just like that article we were reading about, talks a lot about the views that Naruto and Sasuke had and how in the end both of their ideals they both wanted peace, but they had radically different views. Do you think they could have found like a middle ground, or do you think Sasuke should have won as well too with his ideals?
So I think, and this is where I think who was the creator? Kishimoto. I think I low-key think Kishimoto's a leftist. Because I low-key think Kishimoto's a leftist, and I say this because like every person, every activist who's ever considers himself an activist, anybody who's ever like wanted change growing up, and it's just like, damn, bruh, like, is democracy really the way? I joke all the time about just arrest the Republicans.
Yeah.
Just arrest all of them, because they are diametrically opposed to the needs of the most vulnerable. They will literally enact like legislation that I feel like harms so many communities. But historically, like white people have been given power in the United States at the expense of people of color. So even as you get more people of color coming into the political system and you're starting to get a lot more representation, you still have the Republicans who are just the embodiment of this traditional way of thinking in terms of like America's role, like the notion of like the rugged individualism and the masculinity and how those ideologies serve as a basis for the continuation of capitalism and capitalist exploitation.
Naruto's a Republican.
I'm not saying Naruto's a Republican, but what I'm saying is like Naruto presents like the two options for like every leftist. It's like you can embrace authoritarianism, which is basically Sasuke.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like I want to be as neutral as possible. I'm not saying that like authoritarianism is a bad thing. Like on the surface, yes, authoritarianism is a bad thing. And so, but I feel like authoritarianism often gets invoked, especially by Western liberal democracies, to try to describe and undermine the political projects of other countries. And so like being aware of that, on the surface, I think authoritarianism is a bad thing. I think Sasuke's brand of authoritarianism is a bad thing. But there have been, you know what I'm saying, people in history who would be like considered leftists, who are very authoritarian. Like obviously excluding like Stalin and Mao, the worst, but you have someone like in Egypt, I forgot his name. It's not coming to me. But there was an Egyptian leader who was like, he used a lot of reforms in Egypt. He did land reforms, education reforms, like shit like that. And then you have, but he was not, it wasn't a democracy. You know what I'm saying? Like even in Libya,
Right.
like people talk about all the time about how Libya had like reforms and like there was universal education.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They had housing, you know what I'm saying? The standard of living was high, but Libya wasn't a democracy. It was very authoritarian. Like they had like a parliamentary body, but everyone kind of knew that it was like a formality in order to like at least maintain some level of some semblance of democracy.
Right.
Ultimately, Gaddafi, it was Gaddafi's show. I still think about like, damn, bro, if I just was president.
I was just Hokage.
I was just Hokage. This.
I used to actually hate Sasuke growing up.
I never hated Sasuke.
Sasuke.
I always liked Sasuke's like indifferent. Yeah, like his indifference, like fuck you.
And just
I literally used to be in 3rd grade and sitting in my It was just like when I first was growing up, I definitely gravitated towards Sasuke. But as I got older and as I got more politicized and I started reading a lot more, I kind of gravitated towards Naruto because it's like, yeah, ultimately human relationships are why we're here. We're here to build relationships with people. And so I personally, being an economist, I believe in a political economy that is able to enact that. Like I feel like at least at the very basic level, resources should be provided for people, food, shelter, housing, and Wi-Fi. So everything outside of that like should be used to be facilitating relationships with people. And there's even research to say that that's how people live longer. Not to sound like MLK, but it's just like love is one of those things where it's like that's how ultimately how you combat hate. And that's Sasuke's thing. Like, and then again bringing it back to like the curse of the Uchiha is that like hate ultimately saw all of it undone. It's like all this hatred that they held was ultimately their undoing.
Being a ninja, like in Boruto's time compared to being a ninja in Naruto's time is completely different because like, you know, there was a way bigger threats. Like I feel like when Naruto was like a kid, and, like Naruto was like isolated and whatnot, and that's why I kind of don't hate Boruto's character either because like he can't complain, he can't help being born into like the situation that he's born into.
He's born in peace.
Yeah, literally.
And so people born in peace are gonna have like a different world.
Yeah, it's gonna be happier, and at the end of the day, when it's a lot more peaceful, there's not much stuff.
Their powers are gonna be more trivial.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I don't hate on Boruto that much because I know that like the reason why it's like this is because everybody's parents fought for it to get to that point. So
yeah, I never thought about it because like I didn't watch. I watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes of Naruto.
Like it's still trash.
Yeah,
but like I understand why the way it is. I heard the manga is like actually pretty fire. Right? I think that's a good place to start. Just stop. Honestly, it was a pretty good. I don't even know what to call this. Discussion, dialogue. I would say roundtable, but it's just the two of us here.
Yeah, I mean we had to get this shit out. I feel like it's a conversation that's not really being had.
Yeah.
Like you said, anime is political, and I personally think Kishimoto is elected.
Yeah.
So if you see this Kishimoto,
he probably might.
I mean,
email you.
Is he alive?
No, he's alive. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if he was dead.
No, he's just not writing the Boruto manga. He's someone else. He trained as like working.
Manga
But,
writers
yeah.
exploited as fuck.
Yeah.
Like artists are hella
Yeah,
exploited.
that's a whole different discussion.
Dog, we can have that.
We can have that discussion.
For sure, for sure.
But thank you, bro, for pulling up. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like. There's an actual button designated for liking, like underneath it. It's crazy, I know. There's also a subscribe button if you want to look up for any other videos that may come in the future. I'm gonna try to get better with uploading, I promise. But peace out. Check in on your strong friends. Tell your moms good morning and good night. Video games don't cause mass shootings. We out.